The wealth of Prophet Muhammad, a reflection of spiritual richness. The introduction sets the stage, highlighting the concept of wealth in Islam. It emphasizes that wealth is not just material possessions but also the richness of the soul, character, and generosity. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is presented as the epitome of true wealth, embodying contentment, humility, and a life dedicated to the welfare of others. The simplicity of the Prophet's life. This section delves into the Prophet's personal life, describing his modest lifestyle. Despite his position as a leader, he chose simplicity. His home, the Prophet's house, was small, with minimal furnishings. It often lacked food, and sometimes days would pass without cooking because he and his family survived on dates and water. His clothes, the Prophet wore simple garments and mended his clothes himself. His possessions, he owned few material items, often giving away whatever came to him in charity. Anecdotes. The Prophet slept on a mat made of palm fibers, which left marks on his body. When Umar ibn al-Khattab suggested he live more comfortably, the Prophet reminded him that his mission was not to seek worldly luxuries. Wealth as a responsibility. The story transitions to how the Prophet viewed wealth as a trust from Allah. He used any material wealth that came his way to benefit others. Generosity, the Prophet never kept wealth for himself. He distributed gifts, food, and money to the poor, widows, orphans, and travelers. The example of the spoils of war. After battles, the spoils were distributed fairly among the people, with specific portions for the needy. The Prophet never took a significant share for himself. Encouraging others to give, the Prophet inspired his companions to share their wealth, leading by example. Anecdotes. A man once asked the Prophet for help, and the Prophet gave him so much that the man returned to his people and said, "O my people, accept Islam, for Muhammad gives as if he does not fear poverty." The role of his companions. This section focuses on the companions of the Prophet and their approach to wealth, inspired by his teachings. It highlights their contributions and generosity. Abu Bakr's donation. Abu Bakr donated all his wealth during the preparation for the Battle of Tabuk. Uthman's generosity. Uthman funded critical projects, such as purchasing a well for public use and equipping the army. Abdul Rahman ibn Awf, one of the wealthiest companions, he often donated large sums for charity while living modestly. Spiritual wealth and legacy. The Prophet's spiritual wealth was his greatest legacy. This section reflects on the impact of his teachings about wealth. Contentment, the Prophet said, "Riches do not mean having a great amount of property, but riches are self-contentment." Trust in Allah, he emphasized reliance on Allah over material possessions. Eternal rewards. The Prophet taught that wealth should be used to gain rewards in the hereafter by helping others and supporting good causes. A story about a poor man who came to the Prophet seeking help. The Prophet guided him to work, teaching him the dignity of earning a living. The conclusion ties together the themes of the Prophet